Welcome back. Folks, my first guest tonight is an Emmy Award-winning journalist you know from This Week and Good Morning America. Please welcome back to The Late Show, George Stephanopoulos. George, it's always good to see you.
Great to be back.
I just know, whenever I see your name up on the board and I get to talk to you, I keep on thinking back to one of the first things that I saw that really got me interested in politics, which was the documentary The War Room. Talking about
good old
Clinton.
days.
You know, like that's, and I get to say, like, please welcome George Stephanopoulos. That gives me a little thrill.
It gives me a thrill to be here.
Well, excellent.
It's great to be here.
We got the book we'll talk about in just a second here. It's called The Situation Room, literally about the Situation Room in the White House.
Not Wolf Blitzer.
But before, that'd also be a great book.
It would,
Situation Room 2.
Yes.
You know about elections. You
A little
know,
bit.
worked for Clinton. You were advisor in the White House. Here you are with Clinton and Gore. And is that Panetta?
Oh my God,
Is that
Leon Panetta.
Leon Panetta back there.
How about that 90s
Okay.
shirt?
You spent 28 years reporting on politics, including the presidential elections. Every election, we say this is the most important election of our lifetimes.
Cubit.
This one feels like this is the most important one, right?
Beyond anything we have ever seen in our entire lives. You know, you go back to George Washington, who gave up the presidency, trying to set an example for the peaceful...
I only do two, and I'm out of here.
That's a peaceful transfer of power. This is the first time ever in our history we've had a former president, a presidential candidate, who tried to overturn an election, been indicted for it and impeached for it. First time we've ever had a former president or a presidential candidate who lies about the last election that he lost and refuses to pledge that he's going to accept the results if he loses again.
And metastasizes that American heresy to everyone around him.
Creates all that disinformation and gets people to come on board, has a whole army of enablers who come on, even if they were critical of what happened in January 6th 3 years ago, now come on and say, oh, that's not a big deal, it's okay. But that is fundamental. I mean, peaceful transfer of power is what our democracy is about. It's the bedrock of our democracy. So there's nothing like what we're seeing now.
That must pose a challenge for you, say, on This Week, when you have people on who you know are promulgating that kind of lie and won't themselves say that they'll accept the results of the election this time. How does that change the way you interview people?
I've had a new rule, and you can see it in the interviews I've done over the last several months. Those are going to be the first questions I ask every single time. Do you accept the last election? Why are you endorsing someone who refuses to accept the last election? Why are you endorsing someone who's been indicted for trying to overturn the last election? If they can't answer those questions, I'm not going to move on to tax policy or environmental policy or anything like that.
Because that's the base code.
Yeah.
That's the base code. Now, you've interviewed Donald Trump multiple times. Here's the two of you.
The beast.
I don't know why you decided to interview him in back of one of those horse carriages in Central Park. But now you're being sued for defamation. Why?
Because of an interview like that. I was interviewing a congresswoman named Nancy Mace, who used to be highly critical.
My hometown, Charleston, South Carolina.
South Carolina, of Donald Trump. And she was famously started her political career in a state house, when she was in the state house, talking about being a victim of rape. Mm-hmm. And so I asked her how she could be, as a victim of rape, how could she support someone who a jury has found liable for rape? Trump sued me because I used the word rape, even though a judge said that's in fact what did happen. And in fact, we filed the motion to dismiss last week. But she's now fallen on, and she tried to say that I was the problem for asking the question rather than he being the problem because a jury found him liable for defamation and sexual abuse.
Well, what do you now? So you're a major political reporter or an anchor. How does it feel to be sued by a former president for defamation for just doing your job?
Unfortunately, it now comes with the territory, but I'm not going to be cowed out of doing my job because of the threat of Donald Trump.
Now, You have also interviewed Michael Cohen multiple times. He actually shouted you out on the stand, saying that he changed his views on Trump around the time of your 2018 interview.
Yeah, we were there in the Regency Hotel.
There you go.
On 62nd Street, yeah.
And what did you say to him? How did that change?
It was incredible. No, it was one of the first times, and I heard him say privately for actually several days and weeks what he's now been saying publicly for the last couple of years, and what he said on the stand, that it finally got to him that, his loyalties were completely misplaced. Here was a guy who ended up going to jail.
Right.
For Donald Trump. And I used to be on the other side of his tirades for years.
Would he call and scream at you?
Oh, all the time. And
for what?
Anything he didn't like. I mean, who knows? I mean, he was.
And did you feel like you were just getting basically the mouth of Trump?
The ultimate pit bull for Donald Trump. And he's had a complete conversion.
This is a guy who used to say he would take a bullet.
No question
for
about it.
Donald
He talked
Trump.
to me about that.
And then somebody said, it's going to come out of a gun. Anyway, I didn't know that. I thought I just got to take a bullet. We have to take a quick break. We'll be right back with more George Stephanopoulos. Everybody, stick around.